Hi, friends. So there's a specific moment that you're going to experience when the brain starts to realize that you're safe. And this moment, it's pretty indescribable, but I'm going to attempt to talk around it so that you start understanding that this is where we're going, right? Not only in our recovery, but in our evolution. Because everybody has a brain that doesn't feel safe. No brain feels entirely safe unless they've done really, really deep work on themselves. And there's probably a few out there, but most of us regular folks, we have gone through life with a brain that has learned what's safe and what's not. And it has adopted a lot of certain coping mechanisms and strategies to compensate for that perception of danger. And it's not really a perception of danger, it's a perception of what's not safe. Okay? So, I've talked around a lot of the emotional work, but basically a lot of the reasons why the brain is perceiving what's not safe is because of what we've taught it. We've taught it through our resistances to self. And when we resist ourselves, we are telling the brain that what we are resisting is not safe. So you can imagine after decades of that the brain has a pretty large file of what is not safe, okay? So when it does, there's this moment. And the first time it happened to me, it was like, whoa, this is it. And it wasn't anything I did. It was something that the brain finally started to adapt to the information that I was giving it. And the information I was giving it was allowing all the resistance and all the things that there used to be resistance to. The allowing was the new information. And through enough allowing and the deepening of allowing, the brain, one day, everything felt normal. And I had never experienced normal, not that I remember. And it was a magical message, like, that was showing me that my nervous system knew how to self-regulate. It knew how to get back down to baseline all on its own, given the right information. And then I started to see these other things that started to happen. And I remember, I might have talked about this before, I went up to a busy town, and normally would I be really guarded, and the protection wasn't there. It was just absent. And little things like an absence of kind of a hypervigilance of what might happen, or hearing people disagree with me, and it didn't really matter as much. And I didn't need to be understood. There were all these things that were showing me that my brain was feeling safe. The thoughts started to lessen. And most of all, the symptoms started to lessen. And when I hit that magical moment when the brain showed me that it was perceiving safety, some of those symptoms disappeared altogether. And some of them came back, and then some of them would leave again. And it would kind of move around a little bit like that. And then there were days when the brain, I could tell, was back up into kind of a hypervigilant state again. Because that's what it had known its whole life. Its whole life it hadn't felt safe. So watching the parallel between the behaviors, my symptoms, and this felt sense of either safety or not safety was really interesting to me. And feeling the way the nervous system could adapt and self-regulate all on its own was really amazing to me. And this really convinced me that the power of this journey, that the power of what we're doing here, this work, is beyond our understanding, because the brain and the nervous system is beyond our understanding. But there's this intelligence there that's operating, that when we give it the right information through allowing, it works. It just starts to work. And this message, this precise moment, it gives you something that not even a lessening of symptoms gave me. Feeling the capacity of the brain to be able to self-regulate like this, because I had never experienced it before. It was like a moment of viewing my freedom. And I mean, I stopped. It was so noticeable. And for those of you that experience what I'm talking about, you know how significant this is. And for those of you that have had a lot of difficulty in life and have struggled and suffered and had a lot of symptoms and have done a lot of deep work, and when you get this glimpse of safety, it is really noticeable. And gradually, all on, like I've talked about before, what you start noticing from allowing, how it changes you, but it's changing you due to this underlying perception of safety. And so recovery, symptom recovery, and life recovery, I should say, right, is all about this. It's this seeing the brain being able to start to self-regulate when it's been kind of, it's stuck, right? It's been stuck in a certain level of hypervigilance that we aren't aware of. That's why we have protective thoughts. And so when the brain, that moment comes, you will probably notice a drastic reduction of thoughts. I did. But then, like I mentioned, then the brain came back through being not quite convinced that we're safe, and the thoughts went up again. And so, those of you that have a lot of thoughts, just understand that your brain is perceiving something that's not safe. That's okay. And so allowing where your brain is and allowing those protective thoughts and coming back to the heart and to the self and to the deeper I and rooting ourselves there. That somatic connection is going to start to convince the brain that there's safety. And that's why we do this over and over and over again, all the time. And if symptoms go away and then they come back, the brain's still just not convinced yet that there's safety. And so you're the one that is giving the brain the message through your deep allowing practice. Allowing everything to be just the way it is. And you'll get better at it. Through the nuances, you'll get better at this allowing. And the brain is going to start to perceive safety. The coping mechanisms will just naturally fall away, right? And so even if you see yourself doing them now, snacking or shopping or whatever you're doing, right? Just know that allowing the whole being to be the way it is, pure acceptability of the whole, is the biggest message of safety we can give to the brain. It's like that, somebody said this on one of the video comments, it's like a maternal hug, right? It's that hug from the mom that we were really needing and it wasn't there. And we might need to do that a lot. And so this moment that you will experience when your brain feels safe, it is that recognition of freedom. You will see it, you will feel it, and you will know it, that this is it. And this is all we're doing. When we get this nervous system back online, and this is a process, just know that this is our work. This is what we're here to do. Thinking that this is too much or overwhelming is not a message of safety. We want to stay present. We want to stay with ourselves in the moment. Don't think that this is too monumental, because it's not. I discovered a lot of reasons why my brain was not feeling safe. And this work will continue because that's what I'm here to do. And for you to see when your brain shows you that it's feeling safe, that this is what you're here to do. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.